Thanks for joining us for another edition of Weekend Winners, proudly brought to you by One Equine for the equine athlete. Albion Park Saturday night. It's another feature night of racing, and what a program it's going to be. It's a special night. It's QBred Triad Race Night. All races on this 10-race program for QBred horses only. 4 Group 1s, 4 Group 2s. It's a stunning card of racing. Really looking forward to it. There is going to be a couple of shorties there, so I think the multis are certainly going to be in focus there on Saturday night. But all in all, it's going to be entertaining racing, and I think in particular with those 2-year-olds over the mile, they might be running some slick time. In this edition of Weekend Winners, we are going to catch up with Grant Dixon and Shane Graham. It's QBred Triad Race Night, Albion Park Saturday night. Grant Dixon certainly has a strong role to play. He joins us now. He's in the hot seat. Grant, appreciate the time.
No worries, Chris.
Big numbers for the stable, as you would expect on QBred Triad Race Night. What about race 1? 6 of the 10 runners. Your drive is going to be Better Collect. Was it difficult sorting out drivers here?
Look, it wasn't too bad. Just a few drivers have either won on the horses of late, and we just sort of went that way.
Okay, Better Collect is your drive. She's now going to have her 3rd run back this weekend. She was good last start, running 4th. Yeah,
she's a nice enough filly. She likes the mile, but obviously it's a good even field, and there's multiple winning chances in it.
She's going to get a nice run through at the start, drawn behind English Dance, who has got gate speed. So you should be able to put her in a good spot here from this draw.
Yeah, hopefully she can settle better than midfield and just use her speed late.
Can you pick one over the other as far as being the number 1 seed for your stable in this race?
Oh, Chris, to be honest, you could have a pick, but after gone 400 metres, you'd probably want to have another pick, I'd say. So there's not a great deal between them. It's just the tempo of the race will probably dictate who finishes in front of who. But obviously the other horses that are in the race, not mine, they're also live chances too. I think it is a good even race.
Yeah, fair call. It does look difficult, that first race. What about race 2, first of our features? This is for the 4-year-old Entires and Geldings. Cool to Water and Risk Taker. Your drive is Risk Taker, drawn the outside of the 2nd row. This race is going to be interesting as far as tactics are concerned. Does the Turpin McMullen stable hold all the aces here with Attachment and Delhi Row having front row draws?
Yeah, I think so. Them 2 horses have probably been the form horse of the season out of the 4-year-old boys. So, they'd definitely be hard to beat.
Cool to Water, as we know, he's going to be starting in the Eureka. Were you happy with that first up run last week?
Yeah, really pleased. I was trying out a racing room the last bit, and he found the line nice, and he'll be a little bit better for the run, but, he's just a horse that's giving the right run against good horses. He can beat them, but he just needs that bit of luck.
Okay. Race number 3, 4-year-old mares here. You've got the 2 runners here, Firebolt, Major Rita Jujon. The class runners look to be Riley Rainbow and Everart. How do you think your mares shape up here?
Oh, look, at best, they could, run, 3rd, 4th or 5th. That'd be their, best possible place. I think the 2 clear picks, obviously the 2 that you just named, and they're both really classy mares and deserve to be 1st and 2nd favourite.
Okay, your drive is Major Rita Jujon in that race, and she was a winner last week. That was a deserving win from her last week.
Yeah, she'd been racing, quite respectable, and was knocking on a door for a win, and just everything worked out last week for her, and she got the job done.
Okay, race number 4, the Group 1 2-year-old Colts and Geldings final. 3 runners for the stable, Fire and Passion, My Alderman Xander, Fight for Victory. Your drive is Fire and Passion. He's been enormous this season. He comes up with a good draw here. He's got early speed. He looks awfully hard to beat, Grant.
Yeah, it's a good Colts race, I think. There's a good bit of depth in it. I don't think he's going to get it all his own way. I think if he rolls to the front, he'll be the one to beat. But if it doesn't work out that way, and it's going to be a hard race. They're always a high pressure race, these QBred races, and but in saying all that, I wouldn't want to swap him for any other runner, and I think his runs have been particularly good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point you raise about the time that they should run on Saturday night. You go back to last year, that 2-year-old Colts and Geldings final last year, they were absolutely humming. With Fire and Passion, his time out of the heats compared to the other heats was significantly faster. He just looks like he keeps building this guy, getting bigger, stronger and faster.
Yeah, he does do it well and pulls up good after the run. So, Yeah, I think he's in good order running into the race. So just hope I don't think you win these big races without something going right for you.
Okay, Fight for Victory won his heat. Are you happy with where he's at?
Oh look, we've had a few little hiccups with him. He's had a little bit of a checkered passage with his campaign, but he'll be better for the run last week. And if they go super hard up front, well he'll be a run-on horse for sure.
So he sort of needs a setup like he got with the Breeders' Classic.
Well, I think that's his most lethal with doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and my Alderman Xander, he's just a little tradesman, this guy.
He is, yeah. Like he's a really plain track worker, and he's always hard to gauge at home, but. He goes to races and he feels better when he steps on the track, and he's just a neat little horse that'll just keep chipping away in these races, and I think he'll win his share of races on the way through.
Okay, the Group 1 3-year-old fillies final race 5. You've got 4 runners here. Cool and Classy, Ruby Rules, Got the Glow, Reds Ablaze. Cool and Classy is your drive. She was awesome winning the heat. Really strong the way she ran through the line.
Yeah, we're really happy with how she's went around last week, and she gets a chance on Saturday night, but I've got a good respect for Arrived. I think she'll be really hard to beat.
How does the start play out here? Can Arrive clear at the start, or do you think your fillies can do enough to keep her wide?
Ruby Reels is actually quite quick off the gate. With Arrive being down closer, it'll be really have to open her up to get across, and being side by side Cool and Classy will be hard enough too. So it'll be an interesting run to the first turn, but I think they'll get their chance.
Okay, analysing Arrive, who looks to be the biggest threat to your stable here. Were you surprised she overpowered Ruby Rules last week?
Oh, not really. I've always had a really good respect for her, and just know she's she's definitely as good as any filly in the state. So I've always sort of probably had me guard up about her in the races when we got to try and beat her.
All right, Cool and Classy, going back to her, she must have a great constitution. She's had a good season, a busy season, and she's had to do a fair bit of hard racing, but she just keeps bouncing back each and every time you produce her.
Yeah, she's got a great constitution. She eats particularly well, and she's sort of more like training a colt than a filly, and. Yeah, been super proud of her efforts, through the whole year so far.
Okay. Ruby Rules, so you're happy with her? Barrier 1, she's going to get every chance again?
Yeah, I think she'll get a chance. I think she'll go a little bit better than last week, just because she's a really good little Dawn filly as well, and she'll be a bit better for the good blowout last week. And I think if we can get her to go a little bit straighter this week, she'll go a little bit better again too.
All right, race number 6, 3-year-old Colts and Geldings final. Just the one runner here for your stable, which seems odd, and it's Sweet Lad Jujon. He was good in the heat last week, but is this too hard a challenge for him?
Yeah, it's a bit rich for him. He just needed to probably be poking along the fence. I think it's got good depth in this race as well, and yeah, I think it'll be a great spectacle, this race, for people to watch.
Okay, race 7, 2-year-old fillies final, another Group 1. Amy Lee, I'm sure you would have been disappointed with that barrier draw outside of the second line. The clear favourite is the Victorian filly Ride the Highs, but Amy Lee's been awesome this season. There's been no sort of fanfare or raps about her, but she just keeps stepping up to the mark.
Yeah, really happy with her run in the heat. Yeah, probably from the draw, the best she can do is probably run, second, third or fourth. But yeah, really happy with her, and like the barrier draw's a bit difficult, but we've had some luck in the other barrier draws, so I gather it all balances itself out.
Ride the Highs went a tick over 55, 26-1 on the way home. It looks like they're going to be, going pretty slick again in this final.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's on paper it looks her race to lose, and she got a nice draw, but these are always funny races. The triad night, that's for sure.
All right, race 8. This is the 3-year-old trotting final. Prince Ziggy, you stick with this guy. You drove him first up. He made that little error. What are the expectations with him here on the weekend?
Oh, look, I think, he's just starting to get his groove, this fella. I think in time that he'll match up, but whether it's just a bit early in his career to trying to be able to, race these bit better ones.
Okay, this last race, I'm looking forward to this last race, the 2-year-old trotting final. Kicking Horse and Freddie Drives a Mercury. They're the 2 runners for your stable. Kicking Horse tasted defeat for the first time last time out. Freddie Drives a Mercury, impressive winning last week. How do you rate these horses?
Look, there's not too much between our 2 boys. Kicking horses, he's done a good job, and real happy with him. And like this, the last probably 3 weeks, Freddie's actually starting to step up too. So, but these 2-year-old races, trotters, it really come down to their manners on the night. And it just depends who gets a nice getaway and a little bit of luck and running, and obviously trotting's the key to it.
Do you think both of your guys will step at the start?
Oh, look, they'll have a long night waiting, I suppose, but so far they haven't been too bad away. So, but it's still look back to the fact they are baby trotters, and you just got to hope on the night they step away on their right leg and they can keep their rhythm.
Okay. Is there any other targets coming up for your 2 trotters after Saturday night?
There's one more springboard.
Yep.
And then Kicking Horse has got a Neutron trotting race up here as well, which is a bit later.
Okay. Well, it's going to be a busy night. Which one are you most looking forward to?
The truck drive on the way home.
Great answer. Great answer. Hey, really appreciate the time. Best of luck. We'll see you trackside.
Cheers, Chris.
Shane Graham joins us now to go through his drives on Kibred Triad Race Night. Shane, appreciate the time.
No problems, Chris.
Race number 1. This looks a really difficult race to start the program here on the weekend. You had the choice of drives, Maywin Troubadour, Betty's Gold Class. You've opted for Maywin Troubadour. Was that a difficult decision?
Yeah, look, both horses are racing real well. It probably just come down to the barrier draws.
You've got the key to Betty's Gold Class. Her last 3 wins, you've been the winning pilot.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of luck, so the chances of that luck continuing are probably pretty slim.
Okay. Maywin Troubadour, as you said, recent efforts have been really consistent, sound. He's got barrier 1. He's a proven Albion Park winner, and you've driven him to success here at Albion Park. How does he sort of rate in this lineup?
Yeah, look, like you said, it's a very, I think most years this race pops up and they're always an even bunch, So, look, he's got the right draw and the distance, and he is in form. So, he'll give it a good shot.
Okay. It is hard to pinpoint one, though, as a standout or as the obvious threat here, because you can make cases for most, if not all.
Yeah, that's right, like most of these races, it'll all be luck and running and, it'll be all pace related. But, he's got the draw and everything to make, have a go himself.
Okay, let's get into the features now. Race 2, the Group 2 4-year-old Entires and Geldings final. Without doubt, you've got the mysterious runner of this year's race. It's Bronski Zulu. Last year as a 3-year-old, he was able to win it, and he was strong. He can be really dominant, but it's obvious when you look at his form card right now, he's nowhere near that form of 12 months ago. Where is he at, Bronski Zulu?
Yeah, look, that's that's pretty much how it is with him. Like he, last year you were sort of looking forward to this year, but it's all been a nightmare really. They've had no luck with him, just with different things going wrong. But look, his 2 runs this time have been, like first up he did a bit of work and he needed it, and then last week he was a lot better, so which he needs to be. But yeah, look, he is on the way up, but yeah, it's just hard to get a guide where he's at.
So where does that place you as a driver tactically? Like, how far can you go with Bronski Zulu, given what his form card currently reads?
Yeah, look, that's where it's sort of just got to see what Donnie and Morsey say and how his work's been this week to what we do, But look, it's sort of would have been better if he had a bit better draw and he could have been up there without doing much work. So, but we'll just have to see how he's been.
Okay, Attachment, Delhi Road, they look to be the form runners for the 4-year-olds this season, and they've both got front row draws. They're going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, that's right. They're both, they're in good form. Attachment, he's, I think he's getting better as the season goes on. So they're going to be mighty hard to beat.
Okay, but we can't turn it around, Bronski Zulu?
Oh, look, you never know, but yeah, look, it's against him, but he is a quality horse, so if he does, if he is on his way back and is at his best, he'll be in there somewhere.
Okay, race number 3, 4-year-old mares. Milliewood is your drive. The 2 standout performers here look to be Riley Rainbow, Everard. They come into this race boasting really good form. Milliewood's drawn out. Does that make it like too tall an order here?
Yeah, like she needed to draw 1 or 8 and that was probably, best case scenario, running a 5th or something. So, yeah, like those two mares, they're class and they're open mares. So, they're standouts.
Okay, race number 4, Group 1 feature here, 2-year-old Colson Geldings. You're driving Red Bull Bernie again. You drove him in the heat. You got narrowly beaten in that heat behind Barsby. You're drawn out in 7. It's difficult, given that Fire and Passion's been so good this year and he comes up with a good draw, but with a good draw, if you swap them around, you and Fire and Passion, gee, it would have been a good race, this one.
Yeah, it would have been, I think, Jem and Brendan, they, had 2 sort of chances with, good draws, and they both drew 6 and 7, so they'd be pretty devastated, I'd say. But, yeah, look, he's racing well, and, like you said, with a good draw, he would have been right in it, but it just makes it a bit harder from out there.
Just going back to that heat performance, did you go off the track a little disappointed because you looked like you had Barsby cold at the top of the straight and he was able to fight back and score? Or is he a little tricky to drive, Red Bull Bernie? Will you be better for the experience here this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it was probably my error the other day. I sort of probably should have just waited a bit longer and just, waited to go for him halfway down the straight. I think once he gets past him, he sort of thinks about things and switches off a little. So, yeah, it's probably a little bit on my fault then.
Okay. You look at his body of work so far this season. It's really good, really consistent. How do you rate him? Do you think he's got really good potential?
Yeah, he seems, quite a neat little horse. Like, he's got gate speed, he's got a bit of stamina about him, and he does have speed. So I'd imagine after he has a bit of a spell, and he should come back a little bit better next year.
Fire and Passion's been the standout 2-year-old. I think he's won 7 from 9. Couple of features there. This one looks to be his mercy. Is he clearly the horse to beat?
Yeah, look, on the draw you'd think so. Like you said, he's had a great season, but I'm sure Grant's other bloke, he's sort of, he showed he's right up to him, and I'd imagine James Alfred from the good draw, he does go quite good too. So, look, it does look like it's his race, but you never know on these ones.
All right, race number 6. This is the 3-year-old Colson Geldings final. Another Group 1, the Talk Majority. A heat winner last week. I've been vocal this week. I thought last year we were all going on about how strong the depth of the 2-year-old Colson Geldings was going to be. Have they underperformed this season, or am I too hard a marker?
Well, probably if I owned one of them or had something, I'd say you're a very hard taskman. But I think it's fair to say, like, it's hard to put a line like for them. They're all, you'd be happy to have any of them in your stable. Maybe it's just with the non-Q-bred 3-year-olds like the Derbies and that, they are just quite good horses, which makes these ones not look as good, But look, I'd be still happy to have any of them in the stable.
Okay. How disappointed were you when you learned the news that you had gate 7?
Yeah, look, that was pretty shattering. This bloke, he drew bad last year in the triad. I reckon he drew 11 or something. So you're always hoping next year's better, but it hasn't really got any better for us.
Just going back to that performance last week, he was really good. Were you a little surprised to find top in that heat last week?
Yeah, look, I thought, the way the barriers were, that, he'd probably have to do a bit of work some stage or just be driven for one sitter. But as it all paid out, when we got the chance to be in front, it made it a lot easier.
So how do you play it this week from gate 7? What are you doing?
Yeah, look, I don't know, it'll be interesting. It's probably more interesting what the inside ones are going to do. They've all got gate speed, but a couple of them handed up last week. So, it all depends whether they hand up again this week or if they want to hold. But, we've probably just got to see what happens early. And, he's versatile, but, he is better with a sit.
Okay. By the time they reach the mile marker in this race on the weekend, do you think you'll have a really good understanding of how your chances sort of sit?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's the Talk Majority. Here's another bad draw that you've got to contend with in the 2-year-old fillies final. This is another Group 1 feature. Our Beach Girl May win again. We are shattered to learn the news that she had 7.
Yeah, look, probably after the heats and seeing the Victorian filly go so good, I think everyone was probably thinking we're all going for second, or we need the barrier draw, and when we got 7, it was a bit upsetting, but it is what it is, and we've got to do what we can do.
The Victorian filly Ride the High, she was so impressive, wasn't she?
She was, she's a big, strong filly, and her sectionals and the way she did it looked very good, and you'd imagine, yeah, she's not going to go backwards in a week.
Okay. With your filly, I'm not sure how you handle it from gate 7, but just the improvement she shows each and every time you take her to the track, she just keeps stepping up.
Yeah, she does, you know, like we quite like her. I think after a spell it'll do her good, you know. She's a bit sort of crazy, you know. She sort of gets overwhelmed a lot and she gets a bit silly at times. So, you know, as the season's gone on, she's done a great job, and I'm sure with a spell she'll be better.
How much better do you think she'll be after the heat run though last time out?
Yeah, a lot better, you know. She sort of, I was initially a bit disappointed with the run, but when the sectionals, you know, she probably, for where she was, she did good, you know. But she'll improve a lot, but she needs to.
All right. Race number 8, Group 2 3-year-old trotting feature, Aspiring Victory. Barrier God's on your side here. Barrier 1, Farouk, who beat you last time out, second line draw. Can you turn the tables?
Yeah, look, you know, definitely. Well, we had to draw half good because it was drawn on 6, so I think that helped our chances. But she needs to improve. She was pretty plain last week, but you know, it was probably a bit. I think it was more my error. Probably a bit soft on her leading into that run, but. Look, there's no excuses this week. If she's good enough, she's good enough.
Okay. Is it a race in 2? Is it you and Farouk?
No, I don't think so. Down South Daisy, she went, you know, I probably held her up a bit last week. She hit the line good. Maroon Bell, she was first up. She went quite good. So, no, I think there is a couple there with shots.
Okay. Is this the last major target for Aspire? I know she's got the springboard, but there's no interstate features planned?
No interstate. She'll just stay up here, and then the Oaks is later on in the year.
Okay. The last race, you've picked up the drive on Gleneagle King. He was third on debut, and that run was okay. So this is going to be a good contest, this last race, this 2-year-old final.
Yeah, I think it is. You know, I think it shows, you know, the trotters have come a long way up here. You know, I think there's 6 or 7 in it, but a couple of them go really handy. So, you know, I don't think it'll be a good race.
Okay. Now, when I asked Grant Dixon earlier what he was most looking forward to of his chances, he said it was the truck drive on the way home. So, given that you've got so many...
That's because he wins all the Group 1s. I'd like to be sitting in the truck too on the way home.
Well, I was going to ask you, given that you've got so many bad barrier draws, what are we looking forward to?
No, they're good nights to tried. There's always plenty of excitement tried nights. So, yeah, no, it should be a good night.
All right. Hey, appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
No worries. Thanks, Chris.
A big thanks to our drivers this week giving up their time and insight ahead of Saturday night's program, Grant Dixon and Shane Graham. They didn't fill us with too much confidence. Grant outlining the truck trip home is the highlight for him. Not so much for me. I think on what looks a difficult program as far as the punt is concerned. Like I said, there is going to be a couple of obvious ones. Fire and Passion is going to be short. The filly Ride the Highs is going to be short. There's a few others there on that card that you can certainly multi up. But if you're looking for a bit of value, I was really taken by the performance of Cinnabon last week in that 3-year-old heat, and I think he's well and truly good enough to take out this Group 1 final on Saturday night. He draws well, gate number 3. I think he'll take good benefit from that hit out last week, and I think he's primed and ready to go, and he's more than backable at the current odds on offer. So race 6, number 3, Cinnabon, marking him as the best bet. You can certainly maybe even back him each way. It's a strong program, looking forward to it. Q-Bred Triad race night, 10 races, 4 Group 1s, 4 Group 2s. We'll see you trackside this weekend.